We laid down the challenge to Lando Norris and he accepted all of the criticisms, Cameron. I will see you that and raise you this. That wasn't bad from Lando. And again, I've never said he's wanted for speed. I hold up my hands. I've been critical of him. Some of the interviews that he gave to British Vogue saying that he didn't have as his first priority the championship of the drivers variety in 2025. I don't think that's good. That doesn't bode well necessarily. Lando's always said that he's going to do it his way, that multiple different personalities win themselves championships, so he doesn't need to craft his image in the same way that Senna did or Michael. And I'm not sure I like that. I think there is a type of personality that's most predisposed to winning championships of the drivers' variety, and that is a Senna and a Michael Schumacher. But ultimately, I say all of that to say this. It all fades to black when Lando Norris goes and punches out the lap that he just punched out. A 1:15.586 when his back was against the wall. Okay, he has the McLaren MCL 39 now underneath him. No longer is it like it was at the last Grand Prix in the US at the altar of ride height conservatism. Now they've got the track time. Now they understand where the car needs to be as far as it's set up, and he has the car underneath him. Nobody's going to tell me that the MCL 39 has all of a sudden become a slow car. But that all being said, in the dying embers of Q3 at the Mexican Grand Prix, round 20, Q3, Lando Norris was not in pole. Charles Leclerc was. Lando Norris had to go and pull that 1:15.586. He needed to execute for his not insubstantial potential, and for once he got it right. Standing ovation, Lando. The bookmakers, for the avoidance of doubt, had this chap 4-1. They gave him a 20% chance of doing what he did, and he did it. Not despite, but because of that, and props to the chap. I feel like that affects the aspect of the championship going forward. The Oscar Piastri, Lando's mate, is now on the back foot. We come into this Mexican Grand Prix weekend with Lando Norris only 14 points behind, but more pertinently and potentially more insidiously, Oscar Piastri has zero form. No podiums in the past 3 race weekends for Lando. For Oscar Piastri, Freudian slip settings. He's not been great. And again, over the course of the first 9 races, he had 4 poles and 5 Grand Prix wins. Over the succeeding 10 Grand Prix, he has 1 pole and 2 race wins. So what has happened? Who therefore is that driver in car number 81, and what has he done with Oscar Piastri? Hitherto, Oscar was Mr. Stoicism, Mr. Forensic as far as his clinical nature of car placement, overtaking at Baku one Charles Leclerc in a way that was a chaos dragon. Nobody's seen anybody overtaking anybody like that, not named Lewis or Maximilian Verstappen. Same thing last year, Italian Grand Prix. So what has happened to that dude? His confidence was here. He was winning the championship easy at a canter. And now all of a sudden it seems like Lando's done one of these. And conversely, Oscar Piastri's done one of these. What is happening? And again, if you thought that that was an exception, an anomaly in terms of Oscar Piastri's performance, then riddle me this. Oscar Piastri 8th today at the Mexican Grand Prix on a 1:16.1. What? Care? This chap is 6 tenths down the road from his teammate in the same bloody car. What is going? Sabotage. It has to be, Oscar Piastri fans will say, because this wasn't the case a couple race weekends ago when Oscar Piastri was full of ice and vinegar, verve. He had everything that he needed, some say, to win a championship. Now he hasn't got any of it, And that, of course, is confidence. He's lacking in it, and therefore he's lacking in lap time. Oh, the humanity. I don't know where we go with this, Oscar, because it seems like Lando Norris, if there is a driver at McLaren who is capable of winning themselves a championship of the drivers' variety, he has a name, and his name is Lando Norris. Now you can see Lando doing one of these. His shoulders are being pushed back. There is a pep now in Lando Norris's step. He has all of the suspension geometry requisite to get the understeer out the car, the understeer that Lando does not like. He has now experienced all of the feedback coming through the steering wheel that he likes. He has the car, the wheels underneath him does Lando. He is therefore en hora buena. Behind him tomorrow he has Charles Leclerc, and again, this is important, chat. If Lando Norris is becoming Lando, capable of competing for a championship of the drivers' variety in 2025, what will be important is that we get confirmation tomorrow by dint of his starts. Nobody last year lost more places than Lando Norris. 28, if I recall, over the course of the first lap. 40% of the time when Lando Norris starts in first or second, he will be a net loser over the course of the first lap. Only 10% of the time when Lando starts in first or second, he will gain a place. Lest we forget, Mexico is high altitude and the run down to turn 1, 800 meters. Therefore, some say you might be better off being placed in second or even third. Get a tiki double toe over the 800 meter run into turn 1, just like Lewis Hamilton may or may not do from third place. Lest we forget, F1 history doesn't always repeat, but sometimes it does rhyme. 2021, Maximilian Verstappen on Valtteri Bottas and Sir Lewis Hamilton. Exactly that, from third, round the outside, to trailer park girls go round the outside. Speaking of Maximilian Verstappen, fifth. What's going on? They brought all the bloody upgrades, the floor fairing, the cooling ducts, the cooling bread, all this other stuff. I thought Red Bull was set fair to challenge now for the championship proper, that you'd bought Maximilian Verstappen a car capable of winning races in perpetuity and therefore championships with impunity. Where has that gone? People want to say, well, when Max wins, it's him. When he loses, it's the car. There is therefore some sort of asymmetric accountability. Well, if you look at where Max Verstappen is, traditionally 0.7 down the road from Yuki Tsunoda, there is no difference today. If you want to know how fast the car is, Matt Bishop will tell you, then don't look at the top driver, the first one. Look at what the second one is doing. And Yuki Tsunoda is where Yuki Tsunoda always is. Oscar needs to sack Webber and hire Sebastian. I don't hate that. I don't know if Mark Webber or Sebastian Vettel can drive for this dude in the car at the moment, though. That's the problem, that Oscar Piastri is devoid of form. But Max Verstappen, I don't know what's going on, chat. I was convinced for a while, as were the odds makers, who before qualifying had Max Verstappen as almost an odds-on favourite to put it on pole, that he now had the car capable of delivering a championship, notwithstanding the fact that, as at the time of writing, he's 40 points adrift of OJP in the lead. It's going to get techie. Max will need to do something fairly special, but some are reporting, there is speculation, the Max has dialed out of the RB21, some 1 lap pace at the altar of race pace. I'm not sure whether I'm invested in that rumour, but he's going to need to, particularly when you realise per Marquez and per Max Verstappen that he can't afford to make any mistakes between now and season end. There is T-5 races to go. Max has said already that he needs to be perfect. I'm not sure in that RB21 now, at least at the Mexican Grand Prix, that he has that, surrounded, by the way, the meat in a Mercedes sandwich with George Russell in front of him and Antonelli behind him. I think anyone else in front of Max Verstappen, I think I could sleep easy as a Max Verstappen fan. But George Russell, you saw the ambitious level, the God tier level, ambitious manoeuvre that he tried to pull off at the US Grand Prix. I mean, George Russell's got nothing to lose again. This is the asymmetric risk reward calc that we're speaking of. George Russell isn't the guy that you need to be going into turn one alongside. Therefore, Max is going to have to dial in. He will have to lock in, eat his Weetabix and drink all of his Red Bulls and be his God-tieriest best self tomorrow, if indeed he wishes to keep his hopes and Red Bull's hopes alive. Him of winning a championship, 4 soon to be 5, and Red Bull of keeping themselves some Maximilian Verstappen. It's going to be chaos tomorrow, and I am here for it. How, ladies and gentlemen, do you like, Chiba, yourself some Formula One? That's what's most painful qualifying ever to watch. Cars sliding all out. He said, Louis, didn't he, that the car felt like it was on ice, almost a foreboding. Must be Max isn't that slow. I don't think Max is slow. I just don't think he is slow. I just think the car, I don't know. I'm not sure what's happened. Although that being said, if we're going to play devil's advocate games, Max has never qualified well or put it on pole around the Mexican Grand Prix. So maybe if past his prologue, there's something in that. What he has done, though, is won 5 races around it. And I say all that to say this. There's no driver in history that's won more races around the Mexican Grand Prix than Maximilian Verstappen. Jim Clark is the only one that comes close. Max has 5. Jim Clark has 2. Some say, therefore, that Max is fairly prolific around here, and he may need to be tomorrow to keep his hopes alive. Lest we forget, 40 points is no small gap. It is gargantuan with T-minus 5 races to go to decide who's going to be your champion of the drivers' variety in 2025. Maximilian Verstappen, soon to be 5-time champion. Well, we will get answers to those questions in T-minus 24 hours. Between now and then, the prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.